Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Crimson Chronicles podcast. I'm Rick Morton, alongside my co host, Tommy Ford. We are in the midst of a two-part series. We're having a great time talking to Jerry Duncan. We spent last week, part one, talking about his playing career. We are now going to hear about his illustrious broadcasting career. If you guys know Jerry, if you grew up like I did listening to Jerry on the sidelines, we not only know his voice, we know his football knowledge, we know his great sense of humor as well. And we've got to see that and got to enjoy that over the course of last week. If you didn't join us for that podcast, we want to tell you, go back and catch that, because it's gonna be really meaningful to you. We're thankful for you guys joining us. Thankful for the way that you continue to be a part of this family. Don't forget to like, rate, and review our podcast, both on Apple Podcast and also on YouTube. But without further ado, I'm going to hit the point of the show that everybody always waits for, to bring in my co-host, Tommy Ford. Tommy, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm looking forward to this part two interview with Jerry. Jerry's been a great friend for a long time, worked with him, especially when he was president of the A Club. But Jerry is a legend in Alabama athletics and football especially. He was an all-SEC performer in 1966. He was on 3 SEC championship teams and 2 national championship teams in 64 and 65. But for the younger folks, he may be known best as the sideline reporter for the Crimson Tide radio network. And he's got a lot of sense of humor to him, and he's had a great career. And we're going to talk about those stories tonight as a sideline reporter. Jerry, it's great to see you again.
Thank you so much, Tommy. We're glad to be back.
I'm going to start it off. How did it come about that you became the school's first sideline reporter? And what was Coach Bryant's thoughts about you, a much-loved former player from only 5 years earlier, filling that role?
It all started with John Forney, and I had moved back to Birmingham because I wanted to live in Alabama. I'd been in Memphis for 2 years and had not gotten to see a lot of Alabama football. I had stayed in touch with Coach Bryant. We swapped some letters, and anyway, so I was working in the securities business, and one day John Forney called me and he said, of course I had known John for a long time, and anyway, he said, we're thinking about bringing a third guy in, and it started out in the booth. And I really wasn't with them every game. Like, I didn't go to the Southern Cal game out in California, and I missed the over in Alabama game, the Bama punt game. I missed that game. I was in the hospital because I had to have some foot surgery, and I was just thinking about it. I'm glad I was in the hospital, but if I hadn't been in the hospital, I would have probably gone to the hospital after the game, because that's about it. I know Coach Bryant and all his coaching career, I know that had to be probably the worst way to lose a game that ever happened, because I don't think Auburn had but about 50 yards of offense, total offense. And we had beat them all over the field. And as a matter of fact, in hindsight, if you look at it, we would just been better to run the football on fourth down, and if we didn't get it, we wasn't going to score it. But here we are.
Hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
Here we are punting, and we let this twice. Oh, wait.
Okay. We got to talk Jerry off the ledge
I
here.
know. He may be headed back to the hospital, I'm afraid.
I might go to the hospital now. But anyway, so I was in the booth for several games, and I would just comment on offense, defense, what we're trying to do, whatever. Anyway, so then about a couple of years went by, and John called me one day. He said, we're thinking about putting you down on the sideline and with a microphone so you can report something from down there. And I said, that sounds okay. I said, have you talked to Coach Bryant about this? And he said, no, I ain't talked to Bryant about it. I said, before I go on the sideline with a microphone, somebody go talk to Coach Bryant. I knew that was not going to go over real well. So then John called me about, I don't know, a week or so later. He said, why don't you talk to Coach Bryant? Right. Yeah, that's, and let's go over real well. So anyway, bottom line is I called Coach Bryant and I told him, I said, Coach, I said, they want me to go down on the sideline and with a microphone. And I said, I know how you feel about this. And he said, now you sure you're going to be doing this? I said, I'm going to try to do it. And he said, it's okay. So I'll go along with this as long as you're the one that's doing it. But now he said, if y'all start changing people around down there, I want to know about it. So anyway, that's how the whole thing started. And everybody, I was a terrible sideline broadcaster, but I had a lot of fun with it. And I think a lot of the fans liked it because I wasn't trying to be real fancy and was with all kinds of football terminology. It's easy to sit there and see how your defensive line's playing and how your offensive line's playing. That's what I concentrated on. Of course, we had all these, back then, as soon as Coach Bryant moved that wishbone, we started having some really good football players. And I'm talking about pretty strong guys that could play offense, defense. And there's just hundreds of them back in the 70s when Coach Bryant went on that winning streak. I think we won, what did we win? 10, 11 South, let's see. I know we won 4 national championships, I believe, 78, 79, 73.
73, 78, 79.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then what about 11 Southeastern Conference championships, something like that?
Yeah, we started in 71 and won it about every year except 76 in the decade of the 70s.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. We got to try. We didn't do bowl games, but I was at the Penn State goal line stand down there, but we weren't broadcasting that game. Right?
Okay.
Back then, I think the way it was is the TV had the radio rights too to the bowl games. So anyway, but I saw some of the just great players. I mean, that Musos and of course Johnny was. I think he got there 6 feet. He was early 70s because he played for the same time Auburn had Pat Sullivan. I think we just had just great players in the 70s.
Jerry, if it seems, first of all, incredible job security. If Coach Bryant said you were the only one he wanted down there, that like you were set up for success, right? Because he pretty much gave you a great role.
Well, it worked out. I felt like I knew I wasn't going to go with somebody would be carried off the field and looks like they've got a broken ankle or something or a bad knee. I'm not going to get on the microphone. So Joe's out of the game now, and he's not going to be able to play that. That's what Coach Bryant did not want anything said about injuries. Sure. He just said, if somebody wants to report on the injuries, I'll be the one to report something. And so I got a long way. I felt like I knew what he wanted, and I never had any complaints from him. So I guess that was
a bond of trust, I think, there. And as we talked about on the previous episode about your time as a player and the bond that exists between Coach Bryant and his players, that showed through. And I think as a kid that grew up in the 70s, 1997 was the first time I'd ever known Alabama football without Jerry Duncan being part of the radio broadcast. I grew up listening to you and week in and week out talking from the sidelines. And as far as I was concerned, you were just you were identified with Alabama football just like as much as anybody else, as much as Coach Bryant. But that gave you an opportunity over those years to see right around 300 football games. You've covered 4 national championships. I think we counted up earlier, all total, you saw about 11 SEC championships. Amazing years to be able to be roaming the sidelines down there. From your viewpoint, just overall, talk about the privilege that it was to be able to be part of that and to get to see that week in and week out.
Really and truly, Rick, what you said is very true. I mean, at the time, you don't realize what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? It was just, that's just every Saturday I got up and most time we go on Friday night to somewhere, and I didn't didn't necessarily travel with the team. I had some friends that would either go to the game on Friday night and they would let me fly with them if it was an away game, and then we'd always come back home after the ball game. But it was great fun, and particularly when we were winning like we were winning. If we'd have been 6-5 every 2 or 3 years, I don't know if I'd have been, I don't know if I'd have been much of a sideline. But man, when you're winning like we were winning, and Coach Bryant was winning in the 70s, man, he was on a roll.
Yeah.
It was just to be around all those great players. And I don't even know how to start mentioning all of them. They were so good. All the ones that went to the pros and you saw great games like the goal line stand down with Penn State and the game up in. And the other thing was being able to work with, obviously, with Forty and Layton, and then Paul Kennedy came on the scene, and all those guys that were on staff. Tom, not who am I thinking about? You were on his podcast.
Tom Stipe.
Tom Stipe, and those guys, and then of course Eli Gold. Yeah. And I don't know. I just, like I said, 2 or 3 times, timing and everything, and it was just a great time to me. For Jerry Duncan to be at the right place at the right time. And I don't know if I could put into words how much it meant to me. And not only that, I got to spend basically I got to walk the sidelines with Coach Bryant for another 10 or 12 years.
Yeah.
Well, Mayor Worthing, I would do anything for that.
Jerry, the first time I met you was during the 77 season when I was Crimson White sports editor and got to travel with the team to Lincoln, Nebraska, and to Southern Cal. And I met you there, and I actually have a photo of you on the sidelines at the Nebraska game in 77 that I'll have to share with you sometime.
Yeah, let's see. Now, that was in Lincoln. Now, we won that game, didn't we?
No, that's when Jeff Rutledge threw 5 interceptions.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And that's the only game that we lost that year.
Yeah. And then the other time was was 71 when we were undefeated, and we played the Nebraska in the Orange Bowl. Got killed.
Yeah. I was still in high school then. So you mentioned the guys you worked with, but give us your thoughts on working with John Forney, the famous John Forney, and Doug Layton, and Eli Gold, and Paul Kennedy, and you got Tom Stipe and Butch Owens that have been on that crew for so long, and share the importance of good chemistry among those guys on the air, and how that was back and forth to you, and were you told in advance, hey, Jerry, we're going to go to you in 30 seconds for a report, or how did all that work, and how was the chemistry with all those guys?
I've got some great stories about all that stuff, but Tom Stipe was, of course, he's the engineer, man. He makes everything click, and he does the basketball. I don't know whenever he's at home, and But when we first got started with this thing, now let me tell you, I had a radio. I was listening to the broadcast, okay, on the radio, and I got a microphone in my hand, and I had the signal. I forget what it did. I waved a white flag, something. If I've got something, okay. So then what happens is the battery. One game, my batteries going dead. We're going out on my radio on what I was listening to the game on. And I told them, I said, one time out there, I said, look, I'm having a hard time hearing you guys. I know these batteries are going out. And some fan came out of the stands and came down to the field and it's random.
Oh my gosh.
And then now listen to this story. So we're playing Florida. We're playing Florida in games. Charlie Pell was the coach. And so Forty and Layton and I go there. And I had been on a hunting trip, on a dove hunting trip, I don't know, a couple of weeks before this. And before, you could always start hunting dove at a certain time. So we took some pistols and we were just shooting at targets before the dove hunt. So I had a little old 25 automatic pistol, and I put it in my dock kit, my shaving kit. And so what happened was we always kicked our bags, okay? When we get to the airport late, okay? So here we go. So we go up, you put right through the scanner, was at Delta Airlines, and all these guys at Delta knew us, and they'd help us, they'd upgrade us and all that stuff. They knew us. So we run through, I put my bags through there, and the lady stopped this thing. She said, "There's a gun in there." I said, "A gun?" I said, "Oh, yeah." I said, "Oh, yeah, I shot 25. I said, "Get that thing out of there, and I'll pick it up on my way back through here." Son, he said, "You get over here." She said, "You get over here." And they called a big couple of policemen came over and got me. 40 late, get on the plane, take off. I'm just there to front of them air. They called, listen to me, they called the FBI. They called the
Oh,
FBI.
gosh.
Yeah. FBI comes out there to take you. I'm sitting there, and I finally, this guy started asking me, he said, "Now tell me some people here in Birmingham that I could call and verify who you are." I said, "Bill Sellers." I said, "I've worked for Bill Sellers in the summertime at Value Transportation Company." I said, "He would be a good one for you to call." And I said, I mentioned somebody else. I said, "Yeah, and Coach Bryant." I said, You ever heard of Coach Paul Bryant?" This guy was being real serious. He said, "Yeah, I think I know the name. I think I know that." He said, "You're in real trouble." And I said, "I understand it," but I said, "If you'll call Coach Bryant, he will verify who I am." Anyway, the bottom line is they probably kept me there for an hour and a half. And finally, the guy, I said, "Are you an Alabama fan by any chance?" And he said, "Yeah, I am. I'm an Alabama fan." I said, "Well, you know who I am?" I said, "I work on the radio and all this stuff." And he said, "Yeah, I know." But he said, "I got to go through this stuff." Anyway, so 40 and late, they're already down in the game. And they ran into Coach Bryant. And they told Coach Bryant, said, "Duncan, up in Birmingham was, we don't even know if he's going to make the game." Coach Bryant started saying, he said, so if I finally get on another flight and I get the game from 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I had a message in my room said, call me as soon as you get in. It was Coach Bryant. So I called him, and he took the phone. He was laughing. He said, "What are you doing carrying around a pistol?" And I said, "Coach, I had no idea that purple was in there." He said, "How did you get out of there? How did you get out?" And I said, I started and asked for if I knew some people, give them some names and some credibility people that I could call or they could call. And I said, I gave him Bill Sellers' name. Coach Bryant and Bill Sellers were real good friends. He started laughing. "Bill told his name." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, Coach, I gave him your name." "What did you give him my name for?"
Oh, my gosh.
That's true. That's the first story. Okay. Oh, but
Oh,
so
wow.
that's just part of the things that happened on the broadcast team. But it was so much fun. And all those guys were really, they were really pros. The people that you mentioned there, they took their job serious, but we had a lot of fun traveling around the country. I'll say that. And another story is that this John, we'd go to we played LSU in Baton Rouge. We'd go to New Orleans we'd go down to New Orleans on Friday, spend Friday night, and then get in the car and go over to Baton Rouge. We go down there. We had a lot of fun in New Orleans. Obviously, so 3 years later, when we went back to Baton Rouge, John said, "I'm going to think about this." He said, "Why don't we go down on Thursday this time? And we'll give us a little extra time there." So we went down on Thursday. We spent Thursday night and Friday night. So 2 years later, John said, "I got to get out there. Let's go Wednesday. Let's go down on Wednesday." So we started going to New Orleans on Wednesday. Been Wednesday, Thursday, not Friday night in New Orleans to go to Baton Rouge.
Man,
But it was a lot of fun.
those are incredible stories. And I think, Jerry, also, when we think of you and we think of your tenure on the sidelines, we think of the coaches that you worked with and the transitions that you saw from Coach Bryant to Coach Perkins, from Coach Perkins to Coach Curry, and then from Coach Curry to Coach Stallings. Give us some of your thoughts about those coaching transitions and maybe things that you saw from your perspective, being down on the sidelines with the coaches, with the staff, with the players. Just share from your.
Of course, Bill Curry that came in. I think there was a certain amount of people that knew how bad Coach Bryant, he had a dislike for Georgia Tech. Always had a dislike for Georgia Tech. And there was always some controversy there. And then, of course, if I remember right, Tommy, you correct me on some of this, Coach. I'm going back a long way, but he had a hard time with Auburn and beating Auburn. And I remember, I think we were undefeated that one year. We were undefeated playing at Auburn. Matter of fact, it may be the first time that we went to Auburn.
Yeah, it was in '89.
Yeah, 89, and well, and we had that game. We had that game won, I thought, and then we let it slip away. And then I don't know. I never had any follow. I didn't have any following with Bill. Those guys were always, every one of them were exceptionally nice to me. And I even actually dressed in the. When I went to get ready to go to the field, I actually went to the dressing room, and I dressed with the coaches, the assistant coaches. They always had a little outfit for me there, whatever shirts they were wearing, I'd be wearing, and that kind of stuff. It made it real easy. And of course, then at one time, Jimmy Fuller was an assistant. And then, of course, Jimmy and I played together. Bill Oliver was there for so many years, and I had a great relationship with Bill Oliver. And I love to talk to Bill because he could go over, he could show me some things on the blackboard and about defensive coverages and things like that. And Bill Oliver was a master. He was, I think he's one of the best defensive back coaches I've ever been around. And you give him some decent players. But then, of course, after Bill, let's see who came in.
Coach Stallings after Bill.
That's right, Coach Stallings. And then, of course, they put together a great team because they ended up winning the national championship. And as a matter of fact, Bill Oliver was, if I'm not mistaken, was Bill Oliver was he the defensive coordinator or was it Donahue?
No, Bill was defensive coordinator on Stallings' '92 national championship
team.
Yeah,
Donahue was way back. Yeah, but that's one of the best defensive football teams I've ever seen. That team that beat Miami, they were so well prepared, and that was an absolute great game. And now that's one of the games we did broadcast that game. I was on the sideline for that game, but they were all different personalities. I don't know, hard to.
Jerry, what about Ray Perkins and his being a teammate, knowing him as well as you did, and being a part of that transition as Coach Bryant retired and as Coach Perkins came in?
That was really a shock because Ray had a great team with the Giants. If you look at it after, I don't know whether it was the year after he left the Giants or the second year he left the Giants, they won the Super Bowl. I believe I'm right. And Ray, I think Ray just wanted to first of all, I think he wanted to get out of pro football, but then I think he wanted to be the guy who took Coach Bryant's place and to show people that he could do it. It was tough. That's a tough assignment right there. And I give Ray credit, though. He came in here, and I believe the linebacker that we signed, Cornelius Bennett, was one of the guys he got, and the other guy he got was from out in, and both those guys he committed to Auburn. And Ray, of course, I don't have to tell you what kind of great player Cornelius was. But there was another one I can't think of the name right now that he got that was a great player. He's
Kurt Jarvis.
What deal? He's an airplane pilot.
Yeah, Kurt Jarvis. Yeah, flies for Delta.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was him. And those were two great players that we almost did not get, and they really helped us down there. But then I don't know what happened. Ray, I think Ray was offered that job with the Tampa Bay. He went back to the pros.
Jerry, shifting gears here a little bit, weather-wise, what was the most miserable game to broadcast from the sideline that you remember? Give us a few of those.
Oh, Lord, let's see. I know there was one of them was Notre Dame in South Bend. It was so cold, and I didn't have the proper attire on, and I couldn't get in. I was having a hard time staying warm, and I think every time they came down to me, my teeth was chattering, and it didn't let me comment very much. That was one. It was just a miserable cold. And the other one would have been one of the ones for sure was when we played Boston College in Boston. and it was started snowing, and then the power goes out.
Right.
And I'm down on the sidelines, and I must have had on 3 or 4 layers of clothes, but it was cold, wind was blowing, and I forget how long the power was out, but it was out. And that was when, what was that quarterback that
Doug Flutie.
Doug Flutie, yeah. Flutie. Yeah, Doug Flutie.
He came back and beat us. If the power had stayed out for 15 more minutes, they would have declared us the winner because we were leading at halftime, and the power went out during halftime and for X number of minutes. I don't remember how. I was actually there as part of the Traveling with the Tide program with the National Alumni Association, and it was brutally cold that day. Can tell you that.
Yeah, it was miserable, and I don't know how much it snowed, but it was at one time it was coming down. It was coming down bucketful, that's for sure. But let's see, I don't know, Tommy. Let's see there. I'm sure there's.
Yeah, I don't know if you had the radio rights for all the bowl games, but the '83 Sun Bowl against SMU was extremely cold. That's when most of the Alabama fans flew out on those charters. The same day charters, and didn't have any kind of jackets or anything.
We were on the same plane. Yeah, you're exactly right. I'll tell you how cold it was. It was cold. It was so cold that I told the radio crew, I said, let me tell you something, boys. Y'all sitting up there in that press box. It's nice and warm. I'm down here. I'm down here freezing there. And the second half, you're going to have some company because I'm coming back to the press box. Well, I just went back up to the press. I'm about to wait spit. It was really and truly. I forget what there was a front that came through. It happened just like that. Don't you remember?
I was out there for several days prior to the game, and it was in the high 60s the day before. And we woke up the next morning on game day, and the fountains at the team hotel were frozen outside. And there was all seasons travel and total sports travel, and all of them had charters coming in. And I saw y'all come in on the buses and just maybe a light jacket. And I'm thinking, they're going to freeze to death. And y'all that bus went to Walmart and bought coats and gloves and toboggans.
That's a great story. It was. Yeah, I think that's.
Well, and the 2 Liberty Bowls, 76, when Coach Bryant wore the big fur hoodie, and then the 70, and that was against UCLA, and then of course his last game against Illinois was bitter cold as well.
Last game. Now I was not at that yet. I was not at the Liberty Bowl. I don't know whether we didn't broadcast the bowl or what, but I know I didn't go because I had looked at the weather forecast and everything. I saw how cold it was going to be, and I just wasn't going to sit in the stands. And I thought I've got a great picture of Coach Bryant with that hat he had on, the hat, but that's great. As a matter of fact, it's around this room here somewhere. But that was a really cold game too.
Shifting gears again, I hear you had or still have an extreme dislike of Tennessee and Rocky Top. Could you please explain that? Some little birdie told me that.
Well, that goes back to Coach Bryant. I'm just telling you. Yeah. When at Snellenberger, like I said, we didn't do anything on Sunday. On Sunday during the season, we just go out on our own and jog around, maybe get in a hot tub, get some soreness out. But when Tennessee week came out, not only were we out there, but he had a scout team out there with us that was running Tennessee plays. And of course, the way Coach Snellenberger, I told you how he gets all psyched up. And all of a sudden, he said, all we're going to do is just walk through these drills. We're going to just walk through it. All of a sudden, somebody misses a block up, and all of a sudden, you're pounding on one another. It turns into a scrimmage. All of a sudden. And then, of course, at one time, we said it when Coach Bryant was at Kentucky, that they painted they painted the footballs orange, they painted the blocking dummies orange, just everything. And obviously at Kentucky it didn't work because they never won. But when he got to Alabama, and you go back and look at those Tennessee games now, I would have never thought that we have a 11 game winning streak against.
Right.
Then Coach Bryant an 11 game winning streak. Now that's, to me, if you're a real Alabama fan, You can't imagine Tennessee 11 years in a row. No wonder they tear the goalpost down and throw it to Rivalries when they want to know it makes. After you get beaten by somebody 11 years in a row, I think you ought to be entitled with it. Throw the goalpost to the river if you want.
Gary, we ought to be able to sue them because we own the place. So that's damaging our property.
That's exactly right. And boy, that game we'd had up there though was my senior year. It rained the entire game. It rained all day on Friday. Look what I just found. Look what I just found.
No, that's the helmet game.
Yeah.
That's Coach Bryant at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
Everybody, helmet on.
Yeah. I did for that.
I did for that. But anyway, we played in the mud, and we've already talked about this earlier, but we were behind it. The way it worked, Coach Bryant said, okay, if we win the toss, we want to kick. Johnny Sullivan, who was from Tennessee, and we were the co-captains for that game. We said, and we really had a good offensive unit. We said, if we win the toss, Coach, we think we are win. Let's take the ball. Let's take the ball. And there were 3 or 4 of us that were standing around, and everybody, Perkins jumped in and said, yeah, we want the ball. We want the ball. We won the toss, and we elected to receive. Tennessee kicks off. The third play, we fumbled on about the 25-yard line. And they take it in for a score just like that. We're behind 7-0 for 5 minutes to go in the game, 5 minutes in the first quarter. And then they got a field goal later on, so we're behind 10-0. That's when Coach Bryant came in the dressing room, and I was sitting back with Bentley and Sullivan. We were back in the back because you never knew how Coach Bryant was going to act when you were behind. Sometimes he would pick up things, and you just didn't want to be sitting on the front row. I'll put it that way. And so we comes in the dressing room and he's clapping his hands. He said, we got them right where we want them. He said, we got them right where we want them. He said, they think they're going to win. And I looked at Dowdy and I said, what did he say? And he said he thinks we're going to win. So anyway, we go back out and score a touchdown, go for 2. And then Steve Davis gets a field goal, 4 or 5 minutes to go in the game. And so we ended up winning the game 11-10. So, yeah. That's one of those days.
So, Jerry, of all the games you covered, what are some of your most memorable, most exciting games from the sideline perspective?
I think you'd have to be playing Tennessee and Knoxville. It's a different experience. They bring the marching band down, and they got this horse, this walking horse that prances up and down the sideline, and that damn old dog, Scotty, he's older than I am, and I drag him around when he's scared. If you get in any of them's way, the band or anything, they will come over and they have security. Get off the field. You're not supposed to get out here. He's kind of nitpicky about everything. It's always fun to do. I always enjoyed playing Tennessee, but it's always fun to beat Tennessee. And that game, and I think the games were the series that we had with Penn State was one of the finest. Yeah. Penn State was a great place to play. I never played there, but the friends they're not like, it's not like going to Baton Rouge and you got to fight your way in and fight your way out. Well, those people up there are nice and they're really good sports, and they'll congratulate you if you win, and if you lose, they're not gonna run you out of town. But I think that was a great series, and then all the Auburn games it's always, of course, we knew people. Sorry guys, I played against. Actually, Gusty Yearout was on. I think he was on the Auburn broadcast for a while, and at one time. But I don't know. I never did mind going to Baton Rouge. We played them down there in '65, and they did move the game. They did move it from a night game to a day game, the 1 o'clock kickoff for TV. And everybody said that's the reason y'all won, because we moved it. We just told them, tee it up. We'll play it if how you want to play, but TV dictates it.
But Jerry, I've seen articles that you have said the 85 Iron Bowl with Van Tiffen kick and the 89 Penn State game when Thomas Ryan blocked the field goal were two of your favorites. You remember those?
Thomas Ryan, that's when I kissed Eli. That's when I kissed Eli. I tried to kiss him on the lips, but he turned his hand away from me. But I was so excited that Thomas Ryan got that big paw up there, man. I could see him right now coming through there. He got that hand up, blocked that. Now, they were on like the 5 or 6 yard line.
Yeah.
And of course, the one in the over game, that kick, I think, were we 5 and 6 or 6? We ended up being 6. We were 6 and 6 or 6 and 5 that year.
No, the year before is when we had the losing season. We were okay that year. We had a winning record in 85.
Okay. That's right. I was thinking, yeah, boy, I tell you what, that was, I can hear Paul Kennedy right now calling that thing. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
And Doug Layton was echoing, it's good.
That's right.
It's good. It's good. Now, Jerry, back in, I don't know, 2015 or so, we had a reunion of all the Perkins teams. And we did a recreation of that Tiffin kick between Paul Kennedy and Doug Layton. We got them up there and they did a recreation. I got the script from the original broadcast and they did a recreation and it was awesome. This is probably 2010. It's 2010 when it was.
That was great. That was great. I talked to Paul Kennedy today.
Okay. Yeah. We had dinner with him a few months ago down there. He's a great guy. I love Paul.
He really is. He lives in Orlando, but he works in town. That's where he does all the work. And that's what we were talking about today. It's about 97 miles one way. He said he was getting tired of driving. But the reunion we just had, speaking of reunions, the reunion we just had that was the Georgia game where we had our 60th year reunion, where that 60-14.
All right.
I've got a on the Auburn program, 1966. There were 17 guys that was in the picture, and that's 17 out of 64.
Wow.
We had 64 that started, and 17. Matter of fact, that's the picture of it right there.
Wow.
Wow.
And unfortunately, of those 17, we have lost 8. Yeah, Cecil Dowdy. We were really sad. Some of these guys. Richard Cole passed away. Jimmy Carroll, Ray Perkins, Johnny Mobley, Jimmy Fuller, Cecil Dowdy, Johnny Calvert. But anyway, and so brought back a lot of memories.
Wow.
A lot of memories.
Maybe some of the memories that we'd rather not have, but what are some of your memories of some heartbreaking losses?
My playing days, there's no question about it. The Georgia game, which was the first game of the 65 season, that's when we thought we were pretty good, but we weren't good enough to pull that one out. And then, of course, the loss to Texas. And as far as the thing, of course, that tie we had there when Stabler threw the ball out of bounds on that. That's the only sports year, that was the only loss and tie that I was involved in. And I can't recall Peyton Manning. He beat us like a drum when he was playing.
Yeah.
He beat us 3 years in a row or 4 years in a row. Could he play as a freshman?
We beat them in 94 when he was a freshman, and he won in 95 and 96. Yeah. And 96 is when he led the band in Rocky Top after.
I'll never forgive him for that.
Terrible moment.
I wish he'd fallen off that ladder. Well, I take that back. I don't wish that on earth.
Yeah.
But trying to think of course the punt down the punt on this. You talk about terrible losses on the sideline. Wow, broadcast. There won't be anyone any worse than that in my broadcasting career anyway. But it was
Jerry. You had a great career, 24 years on the sidelines, and why did you hang it up following the 96 season?
I don't know. I felt like it. I don't know. It was just time. It was one of those things. I don't know. I guess became less fun. Maybe I'm getting older, and you know what I'm saying? One reason was is we recruit all these guys now. They're 6'5", they're 6'6", they weigh 300 pounds. And hell, I couldn't see around them. I couldn't see them. Really,
There you
truly, I
go.
mean, they were giants. Look at Wesley Britt, 6'8". Oh, what he weighed, he must have weighed about 280 anyway. But and see, I'm down there running around. Coach Bryant could let me go anywhere. Of course, he wasn't there then, but I had pretty much a free reign. I could go just about anywhere I wanted to on that sideline. I could even go into the offensive, if the offensive unit was huddling over here, I could go listen to them. I could go to the defensive. Pretty much free reign. Seriously, when you're trying to work around guys that are as big and weigh as much as these guys do nowadays, or even back then, it's a hard duty. But I don't know, Tommy. I loved every minute of it. I loved it. I have so many great memories. We've talked about a lot of them. So much fun. And now it was just time. And I don't know now that I don't even know who's on the sidelines now. I know that they had some changes off the sideline, but I've gotten to know Greg Burns. Tommy, this is off the side. I've gotten to know Greg Burns. I think Greg Burns is just an outstanding athletic director.
Yeah, he is.
Well, I really think he does a fantastic job. And that's a hard job. Can you imagine trying to handle how many coaches we got, all those sports? That's got to be a full-time job, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Jerry, you talk about the memories and the things that are meaningful to you, and you've given us a ton of incredible, meaningful memories. It's been fun. It's been fun to just have this conversation with you, just to hear your voice and be reminded of all those games and all those reports from the sideline and the quips and all the things. And for a lot of us, for kids that grew up in the 70s and 80s and sitting by the radio because we couldn't see Alabama football on the TV, but just once or twice, maybe a year if we were lucky, you're a part of my childhood. And I'm really thankful for you, thankful that you invested that time in Alabama football. And so I just want to say personally to you, thank you for all that you've done. And we appreciate you taking time to sit down with us and to share your memories and give us a chance just to hang out with you a little bit.
Rick, I appreciate that very much. It's been an honor and a pleasure. I go back to know Tommy for so many years, and he's been such a big help to me. But I don't know what I would have done without him when I was president of the A Club, because it became more of a full-time job that I wanted it to be. But my goodness, I had Tommy for one thing. Let me add one thing. All right, quick on Coach Bryant. I don't know how many of y'all are familiar with this. Coach Bryant had set up a scholarship fund.
Yeah,
where he had a scholarship for if you played for him at Alabama, your children could come to the University of Alabama. And it was a needs-based scholarship. In other words, it might not have been a full scholarship, but if it needed to be a full scholarship, it could be or would be, okay? And I've had 3 children that came through the University of Alabama on the Paul Bryant scholarship. And that's something that I'm so proud of, and I know some other coaches have tried to do that, but I think, Tommy, that it was grandfathered to something by the NCAA. I don't know if I'm saying that.
That's the story, that us and Oklahoma are the only 2 that were allowed to keep that because it was grandfathered in when other schools tried to do it.
Is that right? Okay. Yeah. I'm just thankful. I mean, just think about now, Rick, just think about all the guys that played for Coach Bryant at the University of Alabama over those 25 years, and how many of their children have gone to the University of Alabama on a scholarship. And that's just, what can you say? Just thanks. But I've enjoyed being with you guys, and I hope this sells 1,000 copies.
Hey, I just want you to know. Yeah, I was just getting ready to break it to you. I don't know how the radio business works, but the podcast business, there aren't any royalties. There also aren't any earnings, by the way. But man, we've had a great time. We're thankful for you, Jerry, and we're thankful to folks that join us week in and week out here on the Crimson Chronicles podcast. And so we just want to say we appreciate you being along for the journey with us. We would appreciate you liking, rating, or reviewing the podcast. If you haven't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so you can learn when new episodes come out. And jump on social media and share it with somebody. We have posts that are going up on Twitter, on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're out there on all the major social media channels, and we'll be having some little shorts of some of the funny things that Jerry has said tonight. We'll put up on those social media channels to be able to share that with more of the world. But we'd appreciate y'all sharing that and helping us to grow this audience and helping us to include more folks as we take a stroll down memory lane about Alabama Crimson Tide athletics. And Tommy Ford, I think it has come time for us to conclude this episode. And
Yes,
so
sir.
we say thank you to Jerry, and we're going to conclude this episode the same way we finish every one of them. And that's, we're going to give the folks a big roll tide. So roll tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, Jerry. Thank you.
Thanks again, guys. Thanks again.
Okay.
I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you.